Alrighty, good morning, people, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So, as most of you may have heard by now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg has passed away, leaving open Supreme Court seat. First of all, my condolences to her family, her kids, grandkids, probably great grandkids at this point. She was 87. So here's what I've been seeing on Facebook. A lot of lefties are saying, if Trump tries to appoint a Supreme Court judge, we're going to riot and we're going to burn down this place until your ass gets thrown in jail. See, what's happening on Facebook is what always happens. The people with the big mouths get on there and they talk crap, and then the people with the small minds actually get out there and do what the people who were talking crap were talking about doing, but are not actually going to do themselves. So that's just kind of what happens. As far as RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, yeah, RBG, right? I'm seeing all these great articles, and this is usually what happens when somebody's died and she's had a long and storied career. You may remember the Ledbetter decision against Goodyear that got equal pay for women. That was a great, great part. But I do believe Congress passed a law that overwrote that decision, if I am indeed correct. Also, she also tried to pass a law making the legal age of consent for minors age 12. So it wasn't as rosy, and she wasn't as perfect as they say, but she's a human. No human is as perfect as they say. But let's get back to what the lefties are talking about. Now you're talking about burning everything down. I know you guys are starting to think, well, everything Dan says goes back to something about the Second Amendment. Well, that's because, to me, it's the most important amendment in the Constitution. The most. Without the Second Amendment, none of the other amendments are possible. So for them to come out and say, hey, we're going to burn this down and we're going to lay siege to the White House, I think they call for a 50-day siege. Well, the Secret Service is probably going to shoot you at some point, so won't have to worry about you much longer. But I'm seeing all this, and it's like they have this liberal dream, liberal mindset of what she actually stood for and what she actually did, with very little fact to back it up. I don't think she was a bad woman. I don't agree with her politics. Do not agree with them at all. But what they see is now there's an open seat and Trump's going to fill it with another Republican. Well, I don't think you should worry about that too much. The last Republican he filled it with has been voting with the Dems, I think, on a lot of issues. But it's just that mentality of the millennial, we're not getting what we want, so now we're going to throw hissy fits and pout and burn stuff down. And it's like when you tell your kid no and they start tearing up your house. Well, Trump has the right mentality. You got to put your foot in that kid's ass. How many of you discussed about these YouTube videos you watch where it's a parent in a store and it's always, what would you do if this were your kid? And the parent says no, and the kid starts tearing up stuff and attacking the parent. That's what's going on in our country right now. You have a bunch of young ingrates, a bunch of young punks who've never been anywhere, never did anything. I did a video about that like 2 4th of Julys ago. So that was before I had a show. But that's what you have. And that's their reaction to every time they get told no or things don't go their way. They throw hissy fits. So for all you parents who raise your kids without discipline, and I don't mean just spankings or stuff like that, I mean any discipline. They never heard the word no. You never taught them personal responsibility. Thank you, because this is who we're dealing with right now. But back to the our Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing. 87, struggled with cancer. She fought it off like a true champion. She tried to remain standing. You got to give that to her. Regardless of her political views, she was a person. So I never really wish death upon anybody except for pedophiles and murderers and rapists. They should definitely get the death penalty. So other than that, though, and it's only going to get worse because it gets more and more extreme. See, with these lefties and these BLM supporters and Antifa. I keep on calling them Antifa, But it only gets worse and worse, and they're just going to keep doing it. So if we don't put a stop to it now, could you imagine what it's going to be like in a few months? Now you have this whole generation of kids, and it's time for them to go to prison. It's time for them to face some federal time. If you burn down a building and there's people inside that die, you need to get the death penalty. They're acting ignorant. It's just what they do. So I just wanted to put that quick message out there. I'm enjoying my Facebook timeline, laughing all the way laughing all the way. Because here's what I'm seeing. Oh, she was the greatest ever. Oh, and if Trump tries to appoint a Supreme Court justice, blah, blah, blah. But let me say the same thing I said when Scalia passed away and Mitch McConnell said, no, we should wait for the next president to appoint a Supreme Court justice. Like, he's the sitting president, and I was talking about Obama. He's the sitting president. If he wants to appoint one, he can appoint one. Right now, President Trump is the sitting president. If he wants to appoint one, he can appoint one. Do it. Hey, recommend somebody, put them forward. I don't see a problem with it. So thank you for watching this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there on RBJ. Rest in peace to her. Like I said, even though I didn't agree with her politically, she was a person. She did have family and people who loved her. So, and she was a very strong woman. So you got to give her props for that. So your vote in November just became even more important. If you're watching this show, chances are you're voting for Trump. Make sure you get those ballots either in the mail or you go vote in person. Make sure your vote is counted. So thank you for watching this episode. Hit like, subscribe, do what you got to do.